it's Missy, and today I'm here to give you my top 10 of 2020 and my stats of 2020. So everything that I read, I'm going to share all of it with you. You guys have seen the thumbnail to this video. I did read 83 books this year, or in 2020, so go me. That's the highest I have read in the last 3 years, but 100 less than my first year. So I don't know what that means. It means that I started off strong, dwindled in the middle, and then hopefully I pick it back up in 2021 and in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down my little list here. I have not that many things that I want to talk about, so this video shouldn't be an hour long. I know some people like my hour-long videos, and some people are like, skip, 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 skip. Okay, I hate her. I'm not watching her anymore because I ramble a lot. And some people don't like talking. How can you not like talking? It's my favorite thing to do. Okay, so anyways, in 2020, I read 24 children's books. So I read Charlotte's Web. This is a reread. I did not read The Changeling. I read the next one, which is The Untamed Queen. I don't own the hardcover yet, but I'm gonna get it as soon as humanly possible. I did receive the ebook from Algonquin, but not the hardcover, so that's kind of a bummer drag. I thought I had like a paperback or something, but I guess not. Anywho, really loved. And then I read the Dog Man books that came out up until like think this year. This one, so we have two, wait, hold on. Let's make it easier. We have 2, which is Unleashed. We have book 3, which is A Tale of Two Kitties. We have book 4, which is Dog Man and the Cat Kid. We have Dog Man, Lord of the Flies. This is 2, 3, 4. This is 5. Book 6 is Brawl of the Wild. Book 7 is Fetch 22. Book 8 is For Whom the Ball Rolls. And then book 9 I did purchase this year for my son, like for an early Christmas present. And that one is like Crime and Punishment. But I hadn't read that one. So I read up to book 8, and I believe book 10 is actually coming out in 2021. So overall, I am giving this series a 3.5. They were okay. Some books got a 4. None of them got a 5. They are not as good as the Captain Underpants books, which is unfortunate. So yeah, they were just okay, but I wanted to read books that Keanu liked, because I'm always reading books that Kaleo likes instead, and these ones have pictures, and Keanu knows all of the words to these ones because he's read them a million times, so it was more fun for him to read something that he enjoys instead of something that he can't keep up with. So yeah. Go back through the ratings. The Untamed Queen. Untamed Queen? Yeah, that's the second book. Not this one. The second one I did give a 5-star, and then this one, I think I gave a 4. This one makes me cry every single time I get to the end. Every single time Charlotte dies, I start bawling. One of the kids' books that I read was Skunk and Badger by Amy Timberlake. This one was sent to me by Algonquin as well. Absolutely loved that one. I read, I think I gave this one 4 stars. I might be able to post all of this down below, but I don't know. We'll see. This is The Adventures of Super Diaper Baby by, what's his name? I forgot. Oh, Dave Pilkey. I didn't like this one. I thought this one was really lame. This one I gave 2 or 3 stars. And then I read the rest of Captain Underpants. Last year I read books 1 through 4. Yes? 1 through 5. What is this one? Yeah, Last year I read 1 through 5, so I finished up the series with 6 through 12. Loved the Captain Underpants series. So we have 5, The Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy, Part 1, The Night of the Nasty Nostril Nuggets. I love these titles. The Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy, Part 2, The Revenge of the Ridiculous Robo Boogers. And then we had The Preposterous Plight of the Purple Potty People. Love, love. This one was my favorite. This one is The Terrifying Return of the Tippy Tinkle Trousers. This one I gave 5 stars to. I know. I'm not the intended audience for middle grade or children's books, but I do rate them because entertaining wise, regardless if you're a child or not, and I have children, I can see their reaction when I'm reading it to them. I have fun while I'm reading it to them. So I think I can, you know, rate them properly. Anyways, I gave this one a 5-star. I also read The Revolting Revenge of the Radioactive Robo-Boxers. 11 is The Tyrannical Retaliation of the Turbo Toilet 2000. And the final one was The Sensational Saga of Sir Stinks-a-Lot. Now, I've talked about Captain Underpants before. If you have children between the ages of, say, 2nd grade and 5th grade, the Captain Underpants books are very, very good vocabulary-wise. There's a lot of words in here that are high vocab that are really good for them to learn. It talks about science. It talks about friendship. It talks about fixing, like there's good morals, even though it is silly tales. That all has a good theme to it. So really enjoyed all of those books. Overall, I gave the Captain Underpants series a 4-star. A lot of them got 4 stars, 1 5-star, and then a few got 3s. Last couple of children's books that I read in 2020, we have Elf here from Pop Classics. This is from Cork. I also read Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I did read, I'll show you a picture here of Karate Kid. I didn't want to print this out because I've already printed out a whole bunch of other books that I don't have anymore. I read this one, didn't like it, gave it away. And then I also read Salty Strong, another picture right here that I read that I didn't keep. And I like that one too. Karate Kid I gave a 3-star, and I think Salty Strong I also gave a 3-star. These ones were obvious 5s because I'm biased and I like my Christmas movies. And then I read the 2 illustrated editions of Harry Potter. We have all of the ones that are available for the series, not the, like, I don't have the Beasts one. What else illustrated editions are out? Fantastical Beasts, I don't know. Anywho, I did read The Sorcerer's Stone and The Chamber of Secrets, both 5 stars. Obviously, I love these illustrated editions. They're so pretty. They're absolutely unwieldy. I mean, it's very hard to, you know, carry this around and try to read, but I wanted to see the pictures and show the pictures to the kids, so that's what I did. And I think, yeah, that's all of the kids' books that I read. So that was 24. The next category of books that I read were YA, and surprisingly, I didn't read that many YA this year. This is usually the biggest chunk of books that I read, so that was definitely a surprise. I read The Remaking by Clay McLeod Chapman. I received this from Quark right before it came out, and I reviewed it, and I gave it a 3.5 star, maybe a 3-star. I'm not keeping that one. It wasn't, it was just okay. I also read They All Fall Down by Roxanne St. Clair. I've been dying to read this book for like 3 or 4 years since I purchased it. And it wasn't that good. I gave it a 3-star, or 2.5, something like that. I also read Come Tumbling Down by Shannon McGuire. This is book 5. yeah, 5 of the Wayward Children series, obvious 5-star. I love all of those novellas. I read Up to This Point by Jennifer Longo. I have not put up my December wrap-up yet, so I'm not going to talk about this one, but just so you know, this is a 5-star read. Absolutely amazing. I also read A Book of Shadows, or the 3rd book in the Diary of the Haunting series by M. Verano. I gave this one, I think, a 3.5 star. I read Social Suicide, the duology. Well, this is the sequel to Deadly Cool by Gemma Halliday. One of the things that I really love with my YA books is non-cliched girl protagonists that have really good friendships, are not boy crazy, have parents that are stable and in the home and loving, and they participate in their lives. These girls also have goals that they are trying to achieve. They don't focus mainly on the boyfriend aspect that a lot of YA books do. Really enjoyed this duology. I gave this one like a 4 or 5 star. And then I read None Shall Sleep by Ely Marney. This is a 2020 release. I gave this one a 4 star. Really good. Again, I will talk about this in my December wrap-up. I read Hell World by Tom Levine. This is my first Tom Levine. I do own 2 others by him, and then I did request him to send me some ebooks, which he did. He sent me 4 of his other books, so I will be reading more of his stuff in the future. Really liked this one. I gave it a 3.5 or 4 star. And then finally, The Princess Bride. I thought this was an adult tale, but apparently it's YA. Not as good as the movie. I gave it 4 stars. My biggest stack of books that I read this year is actually adult, which is, like I said, the majority of the years prior I've always read more YA than adult, but this year I read more adult. I think that's just because of age. More adult books are coming out that I'm more interested in. These are books that I was buddy reading with friends. They're ones that I just gravitated towards. The first one I read with the adult is Tana French's The Secret Place. This is book 5. I buddy read this one. I gave this one a 4 star, I think. And then I read The Fledgling by Octavia E. Butler. I think I gave this one also a 4 star. I read Eileen by Otessa Mossfig, maybe. I think I gave this one a 3.5. White is for Witching by Helen Oyemi, I think maybe. I buddy read this with Penelope. I gave this one a 3.5, 4 star. I read Dead Indian Wars by Clark Casey. This is the sequel to, what's it called? Dawn and Damnation. Really enjoyed this one. I think I gave this one a 4 or 5 star. And then I read The Tower Hill Terror by Dane Cobain, my friend, booktuber. I will leave his channel link down below. This is his sequel to the first one, which was Driven. Really enjoyed this one. I think I gave this one 5 stars. And not because Dane's my friend, but because I really enjoyed the story. I also read My Sister the Serial Killer by Yenkin Brathwaite, possibly. I could be saying her name completely wrong. This is in my December wrap-up, which I haven't filmed yet. I really liked this book. I think I gave it 3.5, 4 stars. A lot of my books were 4 stars this year. I also read The Colorado Kid by Stephen King. This was one of the picks for the Stephen King read-along. The Goodreads group that I host, I will leave that link down below if you're interested in participating for this year. And unfortunately, this is the only book I completed in 2020. I started all of them with everybody else, but I didn't complete anything but this one, and that's because it's so short. A story of my life. And then I also read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter Hunter S. Thompson. Now, this one is my first time reading the full-length novel, but I have read the graphic novel, and I've seen the movie a bunch of times. I think I might have read 2 different versions of the graphic novel for this one, and then the full-length. This is exactly like the movie, so if you like the movie, you're going to like this. There's hardly any differences in between this book and the movie itself. I love Johnny Depp, so, you know, biased, but this is such a fun, drug-infested Las Vegas, you know, set book, and I think I gave this one 3.5 stars, probably because it's not as good as the movie. And then I read 2 books by Anya Alborn. So we read book 2, which is The Neighbors, and book 3, which is Shuddering. I gave this one 4 stars, and I gave this one, I think, another 4 stars. All right, I still have more. And then I read Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. I do not own this in the physical form. Tiffany sent me the ebook. And this is a 5-star read. Absolutely love Betty. If you haven't seen this book or picked it up yet, I will leave the link to my review down below, or I did the video review. Such an epic story. Devastating. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I need to buy that book. I'm hoping that I can get her to sign it. We'll see. We'll see. And then I read the sequel to Gwendy's Button Box. This is Gwendy's Magic Feather by Richard Chizmar. Stephen King does not help write this one. It wasn't as good as the first one. I think I gave this one 3.5 or 4 stars. And then Maddie and I also read Broken Harbor, which was book 4. This is from the Dublin Murder Squad series. This one was crushing. I think I gave this 4.5 stars. I can't remember. Loved that book. I also read In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Lard Hunt. This is my first Lard Hunt book. This was such a weird tale, and it took me, I think I started this in July. It took me like 6 months to complete. And it's such a tiny book. It's under 200 pages. Oh, it's 200. How many pages is it? It's 214 pages, and it took me 6 months to read. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and it was very strange and kind of slow, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I also read The Behemoth, House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Look at all my tabs. I never tab books, but look at how much I had to stop. I had to make notes. I don't know what any of these words mean. I needed to keep track of everything. This book is so bizarre. There's some pages that have nothing on it, some pages that have too much on it, some pages that are upside down, some pages that are inverted, like you have to look at it like in a mirror. It was a fantastic 10 million stars. I absolutely love that book. Whew, so good. And I read it out loud to my children. I also read Saint X by Alexis Shatkin? I don't know. I got this from Celadon Books. This was I think I did this for a book tour. I didn't like it as much as I was expecting. This is a thriller, murder, mystery kind of thing, although you know who the killer is, like, pretty much right away. But it follows our main character and the killers, possibly, maybe, who knows. Anywho, I liked it. I gave this one 3.54 stars. I say 3.54 because I don't remember what I read. I also read The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I own 3 other books by this woman. This is the first time I've ever read her. This is the most recent release. This came out in 2020. This was a 5-star read. Highly recommend. And then of course, now that I know how I like her books, I'm going to have to read the rest of them. All right, 2 more for the adult section. We have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, another 5-star read. Absolutely loved this book. Had a couple of my friends read it. They also loved it. So yeah, thank you to Quark for sending that to me. I appreciate that. And then I also read Broken Monsters by Lauren Bukes. I gave this one a 4-star, I believe. It follows like 5 or 6 different POVs. It's very confusing at the beginning. I didn't like it for the first 100 pages, but once I really got into the way she writes, I enjoyed it a lot more. And it had a weird, like, magical realism fantasy towards the end that was kind of like Stephen King-esque that didn't make any sense to be in this book because the majority of the book was very like contemporary, you know, it's something that would happen in real life. So it was such a weird thing to have happen, but it definitely magical realism, surrealism, something like that, whatever you want to call it. All right, so we did children's books, YA, adult. My next group of books is my nonfiction, which I didn't read that many this year. Normally I read, I think, more than this, but I read 6. Okay, so for my 6 books, I read Twilight, The Director's Notebook, the story of how we made the movie based on the novel by Stephenie Meyer by Catherine Hardwicke. She's the director of the first Twilight movie. I saw this for $1 at Book Off. Had to own it. Wanted to read it. So I bought it and I did. The next nonfiction I read was I'll Be Gone in the Dark. One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer by Michelle McNamara. This is a 5-star read, and then I did watch her HBO series. Phenomenal. She's such a great writer, a great detective, like amateur sleuth. She was so great at what she did, and it's really sad that she passed away before she could see the final copy, like the finished results of her searching, because they ended up actually catching the killer. And even though the police want to say that that had nothing to do with her, it absolutely did. I also read Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI by David Grann. Another book that I will be talking about in my December wrap-up. I gave this one a 4-star, I believe. So sad. I mean, I was upset, like physically ill a lot of this read. I didn't like reading it. I didn't want to pick it up. I was dragging ass on it because it's such a terrible way to treat people, and that's what we do here in the United States. We treat people terribly. I know that happens in every culture, but because this is like my culture, I'm from the United States, we need to step up our game and do a better job. And then this is the first book I finished in 2000. This is the first book I finished in 2020, and I loved it. I gave it a 5-star. This is An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield. He is a very well-known astronaut from Canada. Loved that book. I got so much good advice from him from that book that I will be using it in the future. I also read The Spider and the Fly by Claudia Rowe. This was terrible. I gave this a 2.5 star. I mean, and that's being generous. I should drop it to a 2. Awful book. And then we have The Unthinkable, An Extraordinary Journey Through the World's Strangest Brains by Helen Thompson. Very much enjoyed this. I think I gave it a 4-star. Really liked it. It's all about different ways the brain is unique. The next group is, I have 5 short story collections that go with my adult books. If you were counting and you're like, that wasn't 26. It's because when I separated them on my bed, I decided this should be a group on its own. The first one we have here is The Tooth by Shirley Jackson. This is one of those tiny little penguin editions. I really love this. It's super cute. I think I gave this one a 4 or 5 star. Short story collections are always very like iffy with me because sometimes they're just not well written. Not necessarily it's not written well, but I don't like coming into a story halfway through, and I don't like a lot of the times how they end short stories. It seems rushed or implausible or just weird, and yeah, but I did like all of these ones. I believe the lottery one, that was insane. I also read Told Tales of Horror and Dread, a scary short story collection by J.B. Lovett. This author sent this collection to me last year sometime, and I finally read it, and I liked it. Very strange stories. And then we have 2 Japanese short story collections that I want to talk about. The reason why I'm holding them both up together is because what I have found with Japanese short story collections is that they take place in the same world with the same kinds of characters, even though each story is different. So we have, this one is from Yoko Ogawa. This is The Diving Pool. There's 3 novellas in here. The main character lives in an orphanage, and the stories happen in the orphanage, around her, with her friends from the orphanage. So it all has to do with her, even though they're stories on their own. And then the same thing with Goth by Otsuchi. This all has to do with 2 main characters. There's Marino and then the narrator. They are obsessed with serial killers. There's a whole bunch of different stories in here, but they all have to do with the same town, the same mountain, the same 2 students from school. So I really enjoyed this one. I need more Otsuchi in my life. And then the final short story collection that I read was Goblin by Josh Malerman. Again, all of these stories were set in the same world. I think I like that more than just random short story collections. So this one was all set in Goblin. All of the characters kind of overlap. At least they are referenced in the other ones. They may not be the main characters, but they kind of are skirted upon, like you can see them in the background. Really enjoyed this one. Gave it 5 stars. I'm also biased because I love Josh Malerman. And my final group for the books that I've read are my graphic novels. Now, graphic novels are usually a big part of my life. I read a ton of them every single year. This year I read 18. Let's quickly go through them. We have The Stranger Planet by Nathan W. Pyle. If you do not follow him on Instagram, you absolutely should. This is a signed edition. I just love his little alien creatures. They are the cutest things ever, and it really like explains our day-to-day life in a very abstract kind of way, which I find fun. So, love him. I also read, let's change, you don't need to see that. I also read 1 and 2. Yeah, this is 1, this is 2. These are mangas written by, who writes these? Akira Hiramoto. This is an erotica-based manga set in prison school. So it's about an all-girls school where they're allowing a few boys to come in. But if the boys try to interact with the girls in any way, they are then punished and sent to prison school, and our boys are caught peeping into the girls' locker room. And so they're punished for a month where they have to do hard labor. And the people that are punishing them are students that are part of this like secret society. They're called the Shadow people, Shadow Council, Shadow something. led by the daughter of the director of the school itself. She hates men, and so she wants to punish them. Lots of, like I said, it's erotica, so there's a lot of scenes in here you're like, not suited for children. Not suited for children. But I like this story. I don't necessarily like all of the, you know, panties that you keep seeing in all of the pictures, but the story's really interesting. What sucks is that these mangas are $20 each, and that's expensive to me. But I want to read them all, and I only have 1 and 2, and if I can get, maybe I can get, like, I can find the other ones on thrift books or eBay, or just read them online. I don't know. I don't want to buy them all for $20. That's kind of depressing. All right. And then I have a ton of graphic novels that I gave away because I didn't like them that much. So we have here Laid Waste by Julia. Remember how I didn't know how to say that? Is it Gruffer? I gave this a 2-star. Didn't like. Had bread sex in it. We don't need to continue on with what that was. We have The Book of Bunny Suicides by Andy Riley. This book was actually sent to me in a book outlet box years and years ago, accidentally. It was just stuffed in the box. I wasn't supposed to get it, and I read it, and it was just okay. I gave it like a 3-star. It's very repetitive. I think the bunny, like, having different ways to kill itself is pretty funny, but then it gets very redundant, and then it got boring. And then I had Bloody Chester, or I read Bloody Chester, by J.T. Petty and Hilary Florido. Again, this is a book that had been sitting on my shelf since like 2015, and I don't know why I kept on to it for so long, and then I just didn't even like it. I gave this one like a 3-star. I also read The Mind Gap. This is volume 3. Out of Bodies by McCain, Esquijo, Bosri, and McDade. The conclusion to this, actually, there's supposed to be a 4th book, but it was never published in a physical form. You had to get them in, like, issues, and I'm not planning on doing that, so I kind of just gave up on this series. I gave that one like a 3-star. What? Look at my watch. Goal! I've reached a goal for today. It's not even that. What did 151 a week. 151 what? I don't know. Next, I read The Undertaking of Lily Chen by Danica Novgorodov, something or other. This one was just okay. It's about 2 Chinese brothers who don't like each other. One dies, and then the parents make the younger one look for a corpse bride for him. That's the whole book. He's looking for a dead body to be buried with his brother as a corpse bride, so that way they have, you know, a good afterlife. It was just okay. I held on to this one for a really long time too, when I shouldn't have. And then the last graphic novel that I don't own anymore because I gave it away in my tradeaways this year is The Gigantic Beard That Was Evil by Stephen Collins. It was just okay. I gave it a 3-star, I believe, and it's just about a man who lives in a world where everybody has to be the same. You conform and everything is the same. And one day a whisker grows on his face, and he can't stop it. Every time he tries to cut it, it comes back, and so people don't like him. Yada yada. That's the story. All right. For the rest of the graphic novels that I read that I have physical copies of, they have Beautiful Darkness here by Fabian Volman and Kersicott, maybe. Really, really like this. I think I gave this a 4.5 star, 5-star read. It's kind of sad. It's a bit depressing. It's about a little girl who dies in the woods. And then she's got, like, kind of like Inside Out from Pixar, but not. It's not like this is her conscience or her feelings, but she's got the, see, here's the little dead girl. she's got these tiny little people that live inside her. I don't know if they're germs or what, but they have to deal with what it feels like to live without her. And it's pretty sad, and I did enjoy it. It is Beautiful Darkness. That's what it's called. And then I read Piper by Jay Asher and Jessica Freeberg. This is a retelling of the Pied Piper. I didn't know the Pied Piper was an actual person. And I also learned what pied meant, and that means like different colored clothes. I always thought Pied Piper was just its title. I didn't realize that pied meant something. Anyways, it was okay. I gave it 3.5 stars, I think, something around there. And then I read Squee. This is the Squee's wonderful big giant book of unspeakable horrors by, what's his name? Honan Vasquez, possibly? Where is it? There we go. I loved this graphic novel series. I think I gave it a 4.4 star. It made me laugh out loud. I loved all of the stories in there. And then we have The Tales from Wonderland Volume 1, and this is by Brusha Tedesco and Gregory. Yeah, it's just, you know, an Alice in Wonderland's retelling, and I'm obsessed with Alice in Wonderland, so I liked it. And then I received Bits of Terror, 10 Frightfully Delicious Tales by Cuddles and Rage. I got this from Quark Books back at the beginning of the year. And again, really cute. It's claymation stories set in the same kind of theme or essence of Tales from the Crypt. But they're claymation and they're all food based, which I thought was really cute. All right, and then I read Wraith by Joe Hill and Charles Paul Wilson III. If you like Nosferatu, this is how Charlie Banks became who he is with Christmas Town, or Christmas Land. Fascinating. Loved it so much. Did I give this 4.5 stars? I don't know why I didn't give it 5. Sometimes I can... The ratings don't mean anything. And then I finally finished the entire series of Fairyland by Scotty Young. So I read book 1 a million years ago, and then I was able to find the other 3. So we have volume 2, Fluff My Life. We have volume 3, which is Good Girl. Look how stinking cute. And then we have volume 4, Sadly Never After. Now, it started off strong with a 5-star, and then I think I gave Fluff My Life a like 5 or 4-star, and then I think I gave these 2 3 stars. It started to trickle down and not be as fun anymore, but it's still very, very colorful. I love the main character, Gretchen. I love that she can't cuss because she's in a fairy tale world. I love that she kills everybody out of revenge. I think that's super hilarious. Yeah, I love the series as a whole. As a whole, I'm giving the series 4 stars, but I definitely will be keeping that forever and ever and ever. All right, so those are all of the books that I read, which was 83 that I read this year. Out of all of the 82, there were 23 5-star reads, 1 4.5 star, 26 4-star reads, 7 3.5 star reads, 23 3-star reads, 1 2.5 star read, and 2 2-star reads, which made an average of 3.9 stars on Goodreads for all of the books that I read in 2020. The longest book that I read was House of Leaves. How much is this? This is it's almost 700 pages. And the shortest book that I read was Salty Strong. I think this was like 36 pages. 82 books that I read, 14 of them were sent to me. Out of all of those books, 14 were 2020 releases. The oldest book that I read was The Tooth, and that one came out in 1948. I read 3 classics this year. I read The Tooth, Charlotte's Web, and The Princess Bride. Those are considered classics. The book that made me cry the most this year was Betty, like hardcore, I can't do anything, my face is ugly crying, everybody leave me alone, I have to take a nap because I'm so depressed. I've never cried so much in my life. It literally felt like people were dying in my family while I was reading this book. And that's a terrible thought. That's how much this affected me. And this is the main reason why I do not read hard-hitting books. I know a lot of people like to be educated about hard-hitting topics that happen throughout the world, in the United States. I don't like doing that because I am an empath and I'm so affected by other people's emotions, and this really damaged me while I was reading it. And then the one that made me laugh the most this year was Squee. These were so funny. Like I wish it was in color, but the thing that this little character was doing and saying, I was shocked, and I would crack up and my husband would look at me funny. Loved that graphic novel. I bought 90 books this year, I believe, which to me seems not that much, although I did have a few books every single month, and I did do a book haul from Book Off back in April. But a lot of those books I purchased for you guys and I gave away. So I didn't keep them on my shelves. But I did purchase 90 that I kept on my shelves that I did not give away. And out of those 90 books, I read 11. I don't know if that's a good average. Read only 11 books of 90 that you purchase? I don't know, man. That seems kind of bad odds. Now that we've gone over all of the stats and all of the books and everything that I read in 2020, let's talk about my top 10 books. Drum roll. So my favorite book of 2020 was House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. This was a very difficult read. I have been wanting to read this book for years and years and years now. I finally did it. I'm so excited I did. It was such an epic story. I could go on and on and on and on and on about it, but this video is already super long. The next book, and the rest of them are in no particular order. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires was amazing. Of course, I talked about Betty. I loved that book. We have Broken Harbor. A lot of these books are going to be something that hit me emotionally, was like super investing. I could not put it down, stuff like that. Goth, amazing author, absolutely loved. This was such a good nonfiction. I typically enjoy my nonfiction, and every year since I've been on BookTube have always had a nonfiction in my top 10. Absolutely amazing memoir from Chris Hadfield. Anything by Shannon McGuire I'm sure I'm going to love, and I did really enjoy this book. And then we have, up to this point, again, I haven't talked about this just yet, but fabulous 5-star read. And then we have Dane Cobain's The Tower Hill Terror. I smiled the entire time I was reading this. I cannot get enough of this duo. I never can say his name right. Is it Lipfold? I love him and his little sidekick. Yeah, Miley and him just work so well together, and I just like their dynamic and their relationship, and I just loved this story so much. The one book that I have not talked about in this entire stack, and I'm going to put a picture here because I don't own a physical copy of it, and I forgot to print it out, but this is my most surprised book that I liked in 2020, and that is the Kingdom series. You guys can see the cover here. I can't remember who writes this, but it was on my Kindle. I wanted to kind of like quickly look at it. It ended up being really good. It's like retellings of fairy tales. We have Alice in Wonderland, Little Red Riding Hood, and the third one was supposed to be the person who was supposed to marry Belle, but he ended up being left for the beast. So Gerald, I think is his name. Really, really liked those 3 books, and I definitely want to continue with this series. It was free on Kindle ages ago when I picked it up. Definitely a good free series that I had purchased. I purchased it. Yeah, so those are all of the books that I read, all of my top 10. You guys know this is my favorite because it was my favorite out of my top 10. And my least favorite book of the year was The Spider and the Fly by Claudia Rowe. Typically, I always like my nonfiction that I read. This one was disgusting. Claudia is trying to tell us about this serial killer, and instead she talks all about herself, and I don't care. I mean, don't tell the reader that you're going to talk about a serial killer and we're all invested in reading about this person, and then give us your complaining stories, your boo-hoo stories about how you and your boyfriend don't like each other, how you don't talk to your parents, your sister, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Like, if I would have gone in there saying, oh, this is a memoir of a journalist who didn't make it, sure. But that's not what the book is supposed to be about. And so I didn't like it because it wasn't on brand. You know, it wasn't talking about what it needed to be talking about. Anyways, this video, I was hoping it wasn't going to be this long, but it is this long. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below how many books you read this year, what your favorite book was, what your least favorite book was, and what genre you read the most of this year. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.